Live. Hey, we're live. Okay. Hello, Larry Ferlazzo. I'm so
Hi.
excited that you're joining me.
Well, and I'm honored that you invited me.
Well,
It's
it's a
great to
thrill.
great to see you, Kara.
Thank you. Thank you. And before we go any further, I just want to say on behalf of our entire PLN, thank you for everything that you're sharing. I know I'm going to say that again later, but you're an incredible resource for us. I hear so many times people say, well, if nobody else, you got to follow Larry Ferlazzo. You just have to follow. So
Well,
can you tell us a bit about I'm a little overwhelmed by everything you're doing. I know you're in the classroom, you're writing from more than one place in your blog. Can you tell us a little bit of just your elevator speech of who you are and what you're doing?
sure. Well, I teach at Luther Burbank High School in Sacramento, and I teach uh, beginning English language learners as well as intermediate ELLs and international baccalaureate classes too. So it's a combination. I'll go from uh, teaching the vowel song to teaching Aristotle in 6 minutes later. So it's quite a contrast, but it's a great opportunity because I'm able to really move a lot of ELLs into some of the IB classes fairly quickly because I and other teachers at Burbank we have so many ELLs where we can do a lot of differentiation.
Okay,
Uh,
so like right there, mic drop. Let's just talk about that for just a second. You have newcomers.
uh-huh.
You have students who are brand new to the language and brand new to our country. And you also teach an IB class, which a lot of schools would have your highly gifted kids, your gifted and talented kiddos in that classroom. And you and I know that our newcomers have just as many gifted, and they're all gifted in their own way.
Right.
And so you move those students within the same school year. You're able to move them over into
Maybe not, probably not the same school year, probably, but
okay.
but we're able to move them depending upon their English background, English proficiency background. We're able to move our ELL students into some IB classes within a year and a half of their arrival. So
That's
and
amazing.
well, in our school, the way we have our IB program structured, in many IB schools, everybody takes all IB classes. For us, we do have quite a few people who take all IB classes, but we specifically recruit other students to take 1 or 2 or 3 IB classes. So we're very focused on trying to make our IB program as diverse as possible, and we've been recognized for that. And that includes getting ELLs in there.
That's fantastic. So that's so asset based. I bet, in terms of how you're thinking about your students. And we know we have an issue. I'm guilty of this. My bar can start to slip if I don't challenge my beliefs and connect with my PLN and watch things you're doing and put it out there. I know the kids can do this. How could they do this? So that's very inspiring when we see you doing something like that and sharing it with the world.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So
yeah, well, it's great. I mean, I've been doing training for all of our faculty on teaching ELLs, and that's been including some student panels. I've shared videos of the student panels, and all of those students are in IB classes as well as other classes. But
I have like about 55 questions about your student panel. So I'm gonna narrow it down. I do want to show people my book. I'm very proud to say that I own 2 paper copies of your book. And I'm out of the country right now. And I came and I wanted to bring the book, but I was limited in space. So I brought the book on Kindle. This is my hold up your paper copy of your book so we can show folks. Say something so that it takes you.
I'm sorry.
That's it. So you just, with Katie,
Yes,
Holston, go
Sinevsky.
ahead and say
Sinevsky.
Sinevsky, Katie
Yes.
Sinevsky. Sorry, Katie. And so the two of you co-authored the book, The ELL Teacher's Toolbox.
Yep, it's the
And
third. Yes, it's the third book that she and I have co-authored on teaching ELLs.
it's fantastic. It's fantastic. I was telling you before we came on air that one of the things I love about the Kindle edition is that I can search keywords, and it's a fantastic opportunity to go right to where anytime you say differentiation or something like that, I can find or a particular strategy or something like that. But I also like the paper. I'm like a lot of teachers that I want the physical paper copies in my hand and tab it up and highlight things. And so you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong either way. It's a fantastic resource, Larry. I'm having a really hard time not tweeting about it until the ELL Chat Book Club starts tomorrow. or is it tomorrow or Saturday? We're starting this weekend.
Yeah. Well,
and we should say a plug about that.
Yeah, it's great that the book club, which is so big, has chosen our book to discuss it. So that's great. We're honored. We're honored.
I know how that feels. I was honored when they did Boosting Achievement. And you know how it is. You learn as the author, everybody in the book chat betters the work that you're doing because we're sharing so we're all honored that you're going to participate with us. We have to give huge props to Katie Topple and Ton Nguyen, who started the chat over a year ago. And now we've done so many great books. And we're super excited about yours.
Well, it's a great service to ELLs, teachers, and their students to be able to have this kind of simple yet very valuable professional developments available to everybody. ELL teachers can be a little lonely in our schools, so it's great to be able to have that broad net.
And you and I teach in urban developed areas, but I meet and I know there are teachers out there who cannot easily get to a conference or collaborate with other ELL teachers. So, and again, the stuff that you share, there's so many pieces of this book that people were able to access before the book even came out.
Yeah, well, it's great. I mean, one of the primary reasons I write my books and my blog and my columns is just so I don't lose stuff, so I know where the stuff is, and I can find it, so I can use it in my classroom. I don't know how. I don't know how people who aren't teaching really find the energy to write about it when they are not going to use it. It's just, I just can't imagine doing that. But it's just, it just helps me be such a much better teacher.
I agree. It's interesting because I've had feedback on my blog and even the length of my podcast. It should be longer. It should be shorter. It should be this. It should be that. Or what have you thought about? And you know what? It's a reflective piece for me. And I'm honored that people are following, and I love it, and they contribute, and I feel like they make me so much better with the feedback. But as far as length and stuff, like it's helping me teach is one of the big reasons that I do any of that. And so I think you feel the same way. I'm sure you feel the same way.
Yeah. Yep. That's how it works for me.
Well, that's great. That's great. One of the things I want to say about the book, and then I'm going to ask you some questions, I promise. But one of the things that I love is the way that it's laid out. So it's super user friendly for a new teacher. That's the reason I'm glad that I have two copies, because I have a new teacher that I'm gifting one of them to, and it's so user friendly. You have the strategy, the research there. You have then why you like it. that particular strategy, what could go wrong, which I really appreciate. I'm reading that going, oh, I would have done that.
And Katie and I write that from a lot of experience.
Right? It doesn't do us any good to pretend like our lessons go like always perfectly, magically like clockwork. But what does everybody a lot of good is to say, this is where I failed and this is how I grew from that. And so I love that, because that really honors and helps all of us when we see that. And there's a non-example. Here's an example. So that's great. And then all the reproducibles, and then all of the companion pieces. What's your favorite part of this book?
Well, it's a hard question. My favorite strategy or my
yeah, why did you like anything about it? Like, do you like the way that it's laid out? Do you have a strategy that either one? Because I also want to know how y'all decided to lay it out the way you did, how you and Katie collaborate together. But I also want to know, what are some of your, if you had to tell a new ESL teacher, look, just go to this chapter and this, this strategy and this strategy, focus on these two. I was going to ask you that too. So answer however you want.
Well, I think in general for the book, what I like about it is that we don't have any strategy in there that really takes a whole lot of planning time. That we made it very clear. I mean, whether it's the games or the things, I mean, there may be one or two that take a little longer, but that basically we respect our time and we respect other teachers' time, and we don't need to put strategies in there that's going to require a lot of prep time, when there are so many other strategies that work so well that require so little prep time. So why go the other way? So I think that keeping it simple, keeping them engaging. Katie and I sort of we came to this decision about the kind of book because our first book, The Survival Guide, was basically separated by genres and themes. And the second book was on the Common Core, separated by standards. And we decided, well, one on strategies would be a useful way to go and useful for us. And we just try to figure out which ones we use in the classroom, as opposed to which ones. I mean, there's so many other strategies out there, but these are the ones that we use. These are our tried and true ones that we know we have a less likely possibility of flubbing it up, and that it has a odds are that it's going to be engaging and effective with students.
Well, it's fantastic. I watched your Facebook, and I would recommend that to everyone. And I'll put a link in the show notes for the Facebook. You guys did about a 30-minute Facebook Live on Ed Week Teachers Facebook page. Right. And it was great because you went over several strategies, and it's just super real. Like you're sitting in Katie's classroom. We feel, as teachers, we feel you sitting there. Her lights are going on and off because that's what happens. That's what happens after school. But it's so the way y'all talked about, everything from grading to differentiation and many strategies that you broke down. And just like in the book, this is why we like it, and this is how you might implement it, and why it's important is a great thing for teachers, especially as you mentioned, the time factor. The time factor, that's something that we can't get more of. So being efficient with our time has to be at the forefront. I think that's why a lot of people are really loving the book. It's not work with all kiddos, and it's some of these you could pick up and do tomorrow.
Right. Oh yeah.
Because it's very clear. Very clear.
And I should also point out, a lot of these strategies are things that we came up with and we do, but a whole lot of them are strategies that we've borrowed or modified from others, all of whom gave us permission to. I mean, it's not like you copyright your strategy, but we wanted to honor people's work, so we make it very clear where we got what idea from, and the fact that they gave us permission to use it in the book. So I just want to point out it's not all that just came from our heads.
Well, isn't that fantastic? To me, it feels like almost like what we do with our PLN on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
We all are sharing, and I'm following people because I love what they share. And I also love that they're giving credit to the person that they're either retweeting or that they saw it from, because I think that's what we model for students too.
Oh, yeah.
You should always cite, right?
Right.
Yeah. Even with the book snaps, which I know are going to be crazy with this book. So if you don't know what a book snap is, you just do hashtag book snaps and you'll see Tara Martin came up with a fantastic use of Snapchat last year or so. It was a year or so ago.
And I second that. I second the kudos to her for that.
She's great. And she has these great videos that show you how to do it. And it isn't that you don't have to have Snapchat. You can do it in Google Slide. I mean, you can do it in Google Draw. You can do it on your phone. Now, she's sharing so much great stuff. But what a fun thing to take a picture of what you're reading in a book and annotate over it the way that we want students to annotate over text and think about their reading. But and she tells you in there that if you're not including a copy, a little sticker that you've made, a picture of the cover, that's important, because that cites the author and it cites the title of the book that you're sharing from, just by that little thing. So it's.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what people come up with and what resonates and how they apply it in their classroom and how they improve the strategies. So so we can make it better in our classroom. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Isn't name of the game, right? It's all the sharing. Okay, so I'm excited about the book. I'm excited about the book chat. So anyone who's listening, we want to make sure that you know the hashtag is ELL chat _BK Club. And if I know Dr. Topple, I'm sure she's going to have some type of Google Hangout with you later that's more, with it organically within this book study that we'll be doing over a while. But I would be remiss if I go ahead.
And Katie will participate in that with me as well. So we'll be doing that Google Hangout together.
Oh, okay, good. Oh, that's so great. I'm glad y'all have something like that in the works.
Yeah.
So to hear from both the authors and Katie Topple has some very cool things this round, where we're just doing things a little bit differently, where we're picking the strategies that we want to go try and come back with. So I'm very excited about all of that. And like I was saying, I would be remiss if I didn't tell people that everyone is welcome to join that, and that it is come one, come all. You can just lurk if you want, just follow the hashtag, or you can jump in and answer when you're some of the questions and the activities when you're comfortable doing that. So we really want everybody who wants to have that opportunity to join us in that. And you'll be collaborating with the authors. I mean, it's so fantastic. But I also want to ask you, Larry, about your life a little bit, because we're in awe. That how are you write your blog, and your blog alone is so much information that you've collected and that you're adding to, and that you're constantly feeding with content that's stellar content. And then you write for Ed Week. The blog is for Education Week, but you also write for the New York Times, and you teach full time.
I
right?
do. I do. Yep.
And
Full
you
class
and
load.
you play basketball.
And I play basketball a lot when I'm not. Unfortunately, I am rehabbing injury right now and have sciatica. So instead of playing basketball, I'm spending it in rehab. But
Oh,
yeah, so but yeah, that's and yeah, and then have an important family component as well. So uh,
yeah, that's amazing that they're
well, the kid,
still with you after all.
I have an extremely supportive wife, and sort of the kids are out of the house, though the grandkids are nearby, so I get to tutor a little bit. But um, yeah, I don't. I mean, I think why Katie isn't here is because Katie Hull has a life, So, uh, but this keeps me busy, keeps me intellectually stimulated, and like I said, without Jan, my wife, who sort of takes care of everything that I don't want to do, it would be tough. So
Well, that's kudos to her. I have Brad at home who's the same, and we can't do much without them being as supportive as they are. But it's so much that you're doing that I find myself being sometimes feeling overwhelmed with feeling like I'm not doing enough. And I think, I mean, like in my classroom, I teach part time. If people don't know, I teach every other day.
uh-huh.
So I have a full load that day, but I don't. Anyway, they consolidated some of my classes, so it's not. I want to give kudos and props to teachers who do have a full load, and it's humbling. I was out of the classroom for years as a specialist, so going back into the classroom, it's very humbling. All of the things that you maybe didn't forget, but the feeling of the grades and the parents and the all the meetings and everything on a teacher's plate. It's amazing to everybody out there listening. I just want to lift everybody up that it's such a wonderful thing that everyone's doing for students out there. And we appreciate that you're helping us do that.
Well, and I get as much as I give, if not more. So I appreciate that. So
Yeah,
and that's why you're cited more than once in our book, Carol. So your work. So appreciate all of your great work.
I think I share that with everybody in my PLN because I was over the top. I'm not even going to pretend like I didn't just like freak out when I saw my name in your book a couple of times. But again, those are things that as a community we are coming and we get ideas and we it kind of it gives you inspiration. And so when you come up with something and then someone honors that. There is a gal who tweeted today, and I just think her work's amazing. Her name's Kirsten Foti, and she's in Arlington ISD in North Texas. And Kirsten shares the most amazing things. And she tweeted something today that for years she felt like that, like she didn't feel like maybe it was valued. But in the last few years, she feels over the top appreciated and valued, and she named some people in her PLN, some people in her real world, and then some of us in her PLN. And it kind of took me back because I'm like, how can you think that you're not doing amazing things out there? But I think we work in a silo a lot, teachers. You're in your classroom by yourself, and if you're not connected, how you may not feel at the appreciation that you should feel. All of the
Yeah,
teachers out there.
yeah. And just as an example, this week, as part of my trainings on the faculty by teaching ELLs, I keep on showing a video by Valentina Gonzalez on comprehensible input. And at a training for peer tutors, I showed your video on it's not peer tutors. I forget on volunteer teachers, right? Isn't that, I forget exactly what you call it. So
That's
that's an
it.
example, right? I mean, I always use those videos. They're great. So
It's one of the best things. It's one of the best things about being connected is you realize, one, that you're not alone, that even if you're the only person in your district doing what you do geographically, you're still not alone. There are so many people in the world doing what you're doing, and you can connect with them virtually. That alone is mind blowing. And then that we can share all of these things. I use that same video. I've learned Serbian, some words in Serbian from Valentina's video, and it's such a cool thing.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, it's great for people not familiar with it. She just begins by giving instructions in Serbian, and then after that, demonstrates ways to communicate that and make it comprehensible through gestures and materials and wait time. It's great. I mean, I know in some conferences people give trainings like that, like for an hour and a half to communicate that, but Valentina does it in 4 minutes, which is great. I mean, and it's a great way to begin any training. And then I always ask people to think before we watch the video how they felt in the first part, and then what Valentina did in the second part to make it comprehensible. So can't think of a better way to begin a training on teaching ELLs.
That's right. So now all of us, anybody out there, can turn around and give a training, and there's so many resources at your fingertips for free, like that. So that's a great segue into a couple of things. One is I want to challenge people out there. Larry's doing something that's it's super inspiring, and several of us have taken this up, of having our students give the staff development either, instead of us talking and being the primary person at our PD sessions. Talk to us about your student panels.
Which they actually did the last training today for the year. Yeah, we framed I framed our training similar to an article that Katie and I have written that'll appear in the American Educator over the summer about teaching ELLs around differentiation. One part. Second part is about developing the conditions that would encourage intrinsic motivation. And thirdly, affirming error correction. And
what was the third? What was the third?
Affirming error correction, ways to deal with mistakes in a much more energizing way. And so I approached a bunch of students to see if they would be willing to be panelists. So we have 5 student panels that introduce each of those sections. Each of the panels have a leader, and they adapted their content. We did trainings to math, science, English, and social sciences teachers. So they modified what they would say on their own. And what they had to say is basically what teachers did that helped them in those areas, and what the teachers do that were not very helpful. And then they answered questions. Very simple, and you can see the videos on my blog.
And when it's live, I'm willing to bet the audience, the teachers, love it.
Oh, I love showing the students the evaluations that teachers write, because they don't say anything about what I did. Okay, because they're just going on and on about the student panels. And when I first told students that, they said, no, that's not true, Mr. Ferlazzo. You're just trying to make us feel good. Then I started showing them the evaluations, and they said, oh, you're right. That is what they're doing. They say a line or two about you, Mr. Ferlazzo, at the end. So
oh yeah, here you are, way down here, Mr. Big Guy. Okay, so we're so blessed to have the opportunity to take some of my students to our Tex TESOL state conference this year. I want to thank them again. Karen Lewis was the president, and she is Valentina's partner in real life in KDISD. So she allowed us to have a student panel there. And I can't tell you, I mean, I know, you feel me, how enriching it was for the students, for the participants, and for me. And I can't believe that I was nervous about it at all, because they're like your children, your heart is out there and you don't want anything to be any kind of negative effect on them. And it was nothing but fantastic. You know what the most interesting thing was? Yuri, some people have seen Yuri's videos on my blog. And, they would say something and teachers would write down, and he's like, they're writing things down. What are they writing? What are they writing down? I'm like, they're writing down what you're saying. And they're like, it was so fantastic that they were all the students were blown away. That was what they said over and over again, was these teachers, they coming all the way to this to learn how to help students like us. Because we know that all teachers care about students, but those kids walking around during their day, they don't always feel like up on stage and like that. It's just different. It's very different to be up there and have teachers learning from you.
Oh,
That's different.
Oh, yeah. It's a win-win for everybody.
I encourage everyone, because everyone has a student that, if you put it out there, would probably be willing to say a few words or take some questions, at the beginning of the year staff development or anything like that. It's very simple. Like you said, what helped you and what could we rethink in terms of, or what didn't, in a nice way.
Yeah, and I've heard from a number of educators who are using the videos of our student panels as models for students that they're encouraging to do the same at their school. So it's
right.
Right.
So we did it at Tix TESOL, and then we did it at our, we brought to Wendy Rodriguez Maldonado, who you had published her letter last year as a newcomer.
Right.
She was a keynote speaker at the Seidlitz Education Conference, and Udi came also, and they spoke. And then we had our Region 4, and the kids spoke there again. And so now MAD PD, I want to put a plug for MAD PD. You had mentioned that Valentina also has a session. Many of our PLN folks this year have a session on MAD PD. So that's for Make a Difference PD. For anybody out there, just look at the hashtag MADPD and you can find all the information. Peter Cameron and Derek Rodenizer put together an online conference. They have over almost 100 presenters. It's all day on May 6th. Valentina has sessions. There's different kinds of sessions. Presenters from all over the world. No login, right? It's all YouTube based. And my students are going to have a panel.
Oh, that sounds great. I didn't know that. Sorry, I would have given them a plug as well. So.
Well, it's their teacher that's trying to get her act together to put out there everything that we're doing. I just started advertising it, but I wanted to make sure and confirm that they could do it. I knew I was going to have students, but I didn't know which ones for sure could do it because they have jobs and different things. But Yuri for sure, Yuri Hernandez, Wendy, and then a student that I have named Mohammed. And all three of them came within the last couple of years, and all three of them are graduating, next month.
Cool.
And so they're going to be, I'm asking people to send questions, and then they're going to be doing exactly what you're saying, like what helped and what advice they would give new students and what advice they would give teachers. So I really want to lift you up, and I really appreciate that model that you put that out there for all of us, because that's a game changer.
Yeah, it's made a big difference.
Kids, it's a win-win-win for everyone. And then, okay, here's another thing I want to challenge everybody. In terms of giving professional development, yes, definitely present at MAD PD next year, because they take everyone's proposal and it's a fantastic opportunity to start doing this kind of thing, presenting online. I also want to make a plug for Virtue ELL that's coming up on June 23rd, I believe. But that's coming up at the end of June, and we're about to start advertising that. That's an online virtual conference. Larry's going to participate again this year. I can announce, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait for Tan to announce the lineup of everybody else. But I know, thankfully, you're coming back, so thank you.
Oh, thanks for the
But here's
invitation.
what oh, it's fantastic. Here's what I want to ask everybody to consider. We're presenting tomorrow. I'm here in Toronto, and we're presenting with Jeffrey Robinson. He and I are presenting about doing some professional development via social media. And Jeffrey and I met for the first time today in real life, but we've been collaborating in different ways all year online. Emily Francis and Katie DiGregorio and Katie Gardner and some other folks, we've presented, and we didn't meet until the day that we presented, in the past. I really want to challenge people with your PLN to look at the conferences around the country where the people that you collaborate with and think about putting joint proposals in for these conferences, because today we have so many people coming up going, wait, so how did y'all do all of this? That alone is a fantastic model for how we're all learning together.
That's great.
You doing anything? Are you doing any conferences in your area or anything in your physical world where you're going to any ESL conferences and presenting with anyone?
I don't do a whole lot of that just because it's this one thing that I just can't, one more thing I can't handle, especially during the school year. But sometimes during the summer, I'll sometimes do something, in the state or one other, or another state. But I don't do a whole lot of it. So
I'm glad to hear that, because you're human. Otherwise, we would really feel bad because you're doing all of those and this. But I just want to lift you up and really thank you so much for everything that you do, that you put out there. It's incredible. You're like our go-to person for many of us. You had everything. Your blog has like all the best of lists. You have lists of everyone that you could be following, and if we want to be added to that list, you have so many links to so many things that are free out there. And that's the thing that I think the more people know about that, the better it is for all English learners out there.
I would agree. That's great. Well, thank you for your kind words.
No, I just appreciate it. So I just want to make sure if you'll hold up just one more time the book to make sure that everybody knows, they can get it on Amazon, right?
Yeah, Amazon is certainly available.
And
I'm sure in other places too.
Yeah. We saw it at the conference today. They it's out there. You get your professional development books. It's called the ELL Teacher's Toolbox. And tell us, Larry, how can people find you? I know just a Google search and people can find you. But what's the best way? What would you recommend for teachers who are just getting kind of into this, following people? What's the best way?
To get a hold of me, if you're part of Twitter, you can follow me there. You go to my blog at the top, it says contact. Click on that, and it's a contact form. You can just send it to me. I'll go directly to my email box. And people ask me for advice or suggestions all the time, and I always respond as quickly as I can.
Well, I want to say there are several people tweeting at me. Dorina, I'm seeing wonderful tweets of people who are watching right now. So thank you guys. Emily Francis forwarded on. So many people are out there listening to you and so thank you to everybody who's listening right now and people who listen to the Boosting Achievement podcast.
A great podcast, by the way. One of the few podcasts that's focused on teaching ELLs. So it's an important one.
Thank you for that. Thank you so much, Larry. I appreciate it. It helps me, and I am honored that it helps anyone out there. And I'm thrilled to be connected with you. And so on behalf of all of us, thank you for everything that you're putting out there into the field. It's fantastic. And I look forward to collaborating with you over this amazing book and with everyone out there in the book chat.
That's great. Looking forward to learning a lot from people.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thanks so much for joining us this evening, and we will see you over on Twitter.
Sounds good. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.